was going to go pro.
Right.
And then finding her sports, finding her way back to Golf Channel. So it's a lot. It's a lot of things. It's a big story, but it's especially a big story about speaking up on behalf of speaking truth to power, calling people out when you see stuff that isn't right, and especially trying to give women a voice to be heard more in the workplace.
Absolutely, because what inspired me, to be honest, Tucker, when I heard her story, and we all, and like Chris was and I were talking off air, we all kind of wondered what happened to Lisa, why is she off some of the coverage, and wondering the story, and then she came out with that tweet, and then everyone's kind of wondering what's going on. But then recently, you all released the book, and I'm like super interested in hearing it because we have a great friend that's in HR, and she's fought for equal pay, equal against sexism, racism in the workplace. She's actually worked for a large media company. I don't know if there's any NDAs with that situation as well, but for instance, she basically was calling out a successful podcaster in the sports world with their unequal pay, their sexism, their boys club. And she basically got ratted out by him, and he pushed back against her, and then she had to leave the company. Similar kind of situation. So like these stories happen so much more than we all know, and it was inspiring that Lisa had the courage to write that with you, and to come forefront, and kind of make this well known to people that this is a huge issue, and that this is more than just someone that's a disgruntled employee that all these haters on Twitter saying about her. It's much more of a story than that.
Well, yeah, and she's very clear about the fact that she got along with about 98% of the people that she worked
Right.
with. She loved people. She's still friends with them. She still speaks with them, goes out to eat with them. So she does not have a long list of rivals at all. And I can verify this because the first thing that I did when I told Lisa I was going to write this book with her was I said, look, I got to go out and vet all these claims. I'm a journalist and I'm putting my name on this book. So if we're going to make bold claims about these people and about the fact that you were the victim here, I've got to hear from everybody that you worked with that you were not a problem, that you weren't a troublemaker, like the name of the, she uses the name Troublemaker kind of tongue in cheek, but I have to verify these claims, and I have to verify these claims about the others too. And she's like, do it, try me. So I did. And what I found was just about everybody, except for the people that she took issue with, said she was a wonderful person to work with. She had great character. She was a straight shooter, but really bright and brilliant and fun and easy to work with. These were the terms that I heard. And then the few people she criticized, it was awful and terrible and all the things that she said they would say. But these were about 5 people, and everyone else, I'm talking scads of people that I talked to, said she was great, and they said she got a raw deal. So they were very clear on and off the record that they felt like she definitely got the short end of the stick and was conspired against by these very people to kind of edge her out of her job for speaking up about what they were doing.
And what was wild too, reading this was how hard it seems like this legal battle is. So if anyone actually wants to come at some of these big employers, it seems like it's such a daunting financial and just emotional process to even, one, recount what you've been through, but two, actually take it to court.
Yeah, and we get into that. The EEOC case is a big part of the third section of this book. And yeah, really, these big companies bank on the fact that, number one, it's going to stress you out to do all this, and number two, it's going to cost a ton of money and time. And they're kind of playing the long game with you. They've got enough money to burn. They've got lawyers. They're kind of trying to wait you out and sweat you out. And they know at the end of the day, even if it does end up going in your favor, they'll just write you a check and make you sign an NDA, and on they go. So I think Lisa kind of took the road definitely less traveled by here, which is saying, you know what, to hell with the EEOC case anymore. After she had gone after it for a while, what I want to do is I want to put this in print. I want to leave a lasting document of my statement on this. And no matter what, I want to ring these people up in print for good. And not just ring them up, but also, again, encourage everyone, especially women and minorities in the workplace, to speak loud use all the tools that we have now. Social media has really kind of balanced the playing field in a lot of ways. And we've seen that with the Time's Up and Me Too movements. We've seen it with Black Lives Matter. We've seen it with a lot of these movements that at least there is a platform where you can quickly get your message out to everybody, especially if it's about high profile people. And it can cause, mass movements of people to get on board and demand change. And so she makes a big case about that too. But you're right. It's an expensive battle. It's hard. And you mentioned HR. So let me just say there's a lot about HR in there, and kind of how messed up a lot of the HR culture is as well. People misinterpret HR's intentions toward the common worker. HR's job is to do what's best to make the company money and protect the company's interests in that regard. So they're not always your allies. I know people in HR that definitely try to be.
Correct.
My wife used to be in HR, but a lot of these folks are working more for the big dogs than they are for the worker bees. So we get into that as well. But yeah, it's a tough battle. And it takes someone with really thick skin to be able to go the distance like she has.
Tucker, what's been the response? Like you just talked about a little bit, what's been the positive and the negative response from the book since it's come out?
We'll start with negative. As you've referenced, obviously there's always going to be thread trolls on Twitter or whatever. We expected all that. And, honestly, there haven't been as many of them as we thought there might be, but they're out there. They're going to go boo-hoo, oh, you think you're a victim, and all typical feminist liberal rhetoric or whatever. But besides that, I think the negativity that we've received often has to do with the fact that, if you don't know, Lisa is a cousin of Bill Clinton through her father. Her father is first cousins with Bill Clinton, and Lisa grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas, going to the governor's mansion. Young girl, she watched Bill's presidential campaign and was there in her teen years and saw him get elected president, spent time at the White House, and has played a lot of golf with Bill. So she loves Bill, and Hillary ended up writing the foreword for our book. So thank you, Hillary. But obviously, if you're not a Hillary fan, the negativity comes loud and proud from these folks. I'll never read this book because Hillary wrote 3 pages in this. We've heard plenty of that. Thanks, Trump fans. But, besides that, I gotta say it's almost been entirely positive. I'd say 85 to 15% positive to negative, and
That's awesome.
The positive and from men and women. And I think what's even more remarkable, I'll tell this one quick story. I got a call from a guy who said, Tucker, I am a lifelong Republican. I have never, ever liked the Clintons at all. And when I saw Hillary's name attached to it, I was very skeptical of this book. But after reading it, number one, I am so impressed by Lisa and her message. And it is a message that goes across the aisle politically, across the aisle gender-wise, so forth. He said, but I also, because I read the parts about Bill, because there are parts in the book about growing up in the Clintons world. He said, it gives me a newfound respect for their humanity, for Bill and Hillary, and it makes me grateful for their service. I mean, wow, that alone warms my heart that somebody can see that. And he also ended it by saying, and I wish that more people could have meaningful discussions about their differences instead of just screaming and yelling at each other like we've kind of been conditioned to do now. And I couldn't agree more with all of that. As somebody who's pretty politically ambivalent myself, I say Lisa is one of these uniters, not dividers. And this book is all about trying to bring us all together. And I think it does a good job of that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's an inspiring story there. Where can we find the book, Tucker, just for everybody? So before we get off here, we want to just make sure we shout out to wherever we can get that.
Yeah, I Googled myself and the name Troublemaker the day that it came out, and it was like the most amazing Google search of my life, boys. It's everywhere. Folks, wherever you want to buy your books, you can find it. Obviously, it's on Amazon. We encourage you to go there. And if you do buy it on Amazon or any of these websites, please leave a review if you can. It's on Target, Barnes & Noble,